Al-Qaeda, the base. My name is Anthony Heaford, and I have an informed theory that Al-Qaeda was not the name of the group that grew out of the 1980s war against the Soviet Union in Afghanistan. Al-Qaeda is the name of a town in Yemen where Osama bin Laden established a training base in 1987, just as the war in Afghanistan was coming to a close. My theory that Al-Qaeda was not the intended name of the group and was in fact a place in Yemen is based on my visit to that base in 1997. On the last day of a business trip to Yemen, my customer's general manager took me to a clandestine meeting 1 mile from Al-Qaeda town at this collection of buildings. But my journey to Al-Qaeda began 15 miles further south and 6 days earlier when I arrived at the headquarters compound of a new customer in Taiz City. A few days into my visit, the customer's Pakistani employees had asked me about America and of visiting New York as tourists. I warned them that I expected the same group who bombed the World Trade Center in 1993 to try again, but next time using a hijacked airliner as a kamikaze-piloted missile to attack the buildings. I spoke about this with the 2 machine operators who'd asked me about visiting New York, telling them how easily it could be done. They seemed to take heed of my warning and we didn't speak of it again. The factory mechanic, Dino, didn't ask me about visiting America, and so we never discussed the matter. On my last day in Taiz, the factory's managing director, Saeed Al-Robadi, or the Chief, as everyone called him, arranged a dinner meeting for me. A man called Youssef met me at my hotel at 4 p.m, and after walking for a couple of hours, we shared dinner back at my hotel. We spent an hour discussing my plane hijacking fears, their causes, and the likely response to such an attack. Youssef left relatively early, by 8 p.m, I think. Facial recognition software matches Youssef's face to that of 9/11 accused Guantanamo detainee Ramzi bin al-Shiba, a Yemeni member of the 9/11 hijackers' Hamburg cell in Germany. Given the circumstances of our meeting and the topic of conversation, I think Youssef is either a brother or cousin of Ramzi bin al-Shiba. These 2 photos were taken on my last morning in Taiz, just before my departure from the customer's factory. This man was introduced to me as the engineer, and I already knew Dino, the factory mechanic. I now have no doubt that the engineer and Dino are confessed Al-Qaeda members Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and Ahmed al-Darbi. It's been pointed out that KSM is only 5 foot 4 inches tall, but he appears 5 foot 8 inches tall in this photo. I can tell you that KSM wore platform shoes about 4 inches high. I had thought they were orthopaedic shoes, but I now know they were a matter of vanity. A study of body proportions supports my assertion about KSM wearing heels. His belt height, 2 inches above everyone else's, suggests he should be at least 3 inches taller than he appears in this photo. Immediately after these photos were taken, the factory's general manager, Mohammed, and I left the customer's headquarters, heading to Sana'a for my return flight, or so I thought. Without giving any context, Mohammed soon told me he was taking me to a meeting. I said no, stressing that any further delay would cause me to miss my flight. Mohammed looked at me and smiled, saying, "The plane will wait for you." Ignoring my protests, he turned right off the main road and onto a dust track. We soon arrived at this collection of buildings where 2 men were awaiting our arrival. Mohammed got out of the jeep and disappeared from view, effectively abandoning me there. A man gestured to me to get out of the jeep, and I was led to a room in the first building. A few minutes later, I was joined by about 10 men who I had never seen before. Their planned meeting was cut abruptly short at my behest, and within 15 minutes I was continuing my car journey to Sana'a with a different driver. Surveying the area today via Google Maps reveals the collection of buildings I visited was at the entrance of a semi-enclosed valley containing 3 more such settlements. At the head of the valley there is what looks like a large and impressive natural amphitheatre. This hints at the beauty and significance of an area that felt like a sanctuary during my brief visit there in 1997. Could this valley really be the origin of the name Al-Qaeda? When asked about the group's name by an Al Jazeera interviewer in October 2001, Osama bin Laden said, "We used to call the training camp Al-Qaeda. The name stayed." In part 2 of this series, I will detail Osama bin Laden's links to Yemen that add support to my theory that Al-Qaeda was the name of just one base in a far larger organisation. I will also present documented 9/11 facts that give credence to my claim that I initiated the plot when I gave my travel warnings in Yemen in September 1997.